Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to dive into the US born children and what kind of rights they do give to their parents and what kind of rights they don't give to their parents. These include both documented and undocumented immigrants. So if you have a child born in the US or if you're considering about having a birth in the US, your US citizen children might be able to give you some rights, and at the same time they may not be able to give you some rights that you think you will get. So if you're planning to have a child in the US or if you already have a US born child, this video is for you. Hi, my name is Ramsey Kulen. I'm an immigration attorney with over 23 years of experience. I've helped thousands of families immigrate into the United States and sort out their immigration matters. My goal is to provide you the right information for your family immigration matters. So the first question is, does a child born in the United States automatically become a US citizen? The answer is yes. This is a constitutional right. Although the Trump administration is now challenging this, as of today, a child born in the US, no matter what their parents' immigration status is a US citizen. So even if the parents are undocumented or they are visiting on a tourist visa, if the child is born in the US, he or she is a US citizen. So does that citizenship give parents rights right away? The answer is no. There are certain conditions for a US citizen child to be able to confer some benefits on you. So a US citizen child doesn't automatically give you rights. However, in the long term, they may give you some benefits. For example, when the child turns 21, the child can apply for a green card for his or her parents. This is considered a family-based immigration pathway. This can work, but it takes a little time. So what rights are not given to parents? If a child is born in the US, if you have a problem with immigration status, it doesn't get fixed automatically. You don't become a green card holder, or if you have violated your status does not become fixed. It does not give the parents a work authorization or legal status immediately. It does not provide access to health care, to social security benefits, or government benefits. And it definitely doesn't give a pathway to citizenship automatically. In short, even if you have a US citizen child, if you are undocumented, you're still under risk. And if you are in a non-immigrant visa status, you still have to maintain your status. So when can a child help their parents get legal status in the US? Once they turn 21, they can file for a green card application. For this application, generally, they don't have to be residing in the US, although that has some additional legal requirements. The process involves proving the familial relationship, showing that the child has financial means to support his or her parents, and if he or she doesn't have the financial ability, then you need to find joint sponsors. It also involves submitting forms to the USCIS and attending interviews. But if the parents are overstay in the United States, or if they enter the country illegally, the procedure gets complicated. In many cases, a waiver or additional steps may be required. And sometimes even leaving the US and waiting outside of the US may be required. This is why, with an experienced immigration attorney in such instances are strongly recommended. So are there any legal protections or exceptions? Yes, in some rare instances, having a US citizen child may provide you with some defenses and benefits. Deportation defense. In some rare instances, you can argue at a court when you are to be deported that living a US citizen child in the US would cause extreme hardship to the US citizen child. The other option where you can use a US citizen child is cancellation of removal. If you've stayed in the US for more than 10 years and if you have a US citizen child, you can use that US citizen child as a defense to cancel your removal order. But the standard here is very high. Remember, these are not guaranteed and depend on specific circumstances. And they are used more as a defense than an actual pathway to legal residency. I also want to talk about the birth expenses in the US. In some instances, tourists or non-immigrant visa holders would like to have a child born in the US. In such instances, you need to make sure your health insurance or your expenses are covered. Because sometimes hospitals or doctors tell you that even though you're here on a tourist visa, if you have given birth to a US citizen child, you have a right to have those expenses paid by the government or a non-government research organization or the hospital. Please make sure you don't do this because you are entirely responsible for the birth expenses. The hospital or the doctor is telling you that government can pay for it or the hospital can pay for it or a nonprofit can pay for it just because they can get their money. If you have a child born in the US and you did not pay any of the expenses, you're going to be in trouble. You will face with this question in your subsequent non-immigrant visa interviews at the US consulate or your next entry into the United States. I've seen visa cancellations, I've seen visa non-renewals just because the parents did not pay for the expenses of birth in the United States. Another misconception is if you have a US citizen child, you may think that the parents have some kind of a right to attend the US citizen child's education in the United States. US doesn't provide a separate visa for US citizen children parents. Just because you want them to go to school here doesn't give the parents a specific visa. So what happens in most instances is the parents need to get their own visas. This could be an F1 student visa. This could be an E2 investor visa. This could be an H1B worker visa. But don't forget, you have to arrange for those visa applications on your own and you have to be eligible for it individually. If you can secure an F1, an E2, an H1B visa, or if you file for an EB5 green card application, you can stay in the United States while your US citizen child is getting the US education in public schools. One additional note could be the tax responsibilities of the US born children. Don't forget, US taxes people according to where they are born, and US taxes people from their worldwide income. So if you have a US citizen child, they will at some point be responsible for their worldwide income and worldwide assets. They need to be reporting those to IRS, to the US, when they become eligible to file tax returns. In most instances, I see this misconception with US citizen children who are not living in the US. They think that just because they don't live in the US, they are not responsible for taxes to the US government. This is wrong. If you are born in the US, you are responsible from your worldwide income and you need to report it to the US government. This doesn't mean that you are automatically going to be paying taxes. There are a lot of exceptions. There are a lot of tax treaties to avoid double taxation, but you need to work with a CPA to understand your tax responsibilities. So, in conclusion, yes, a child born in the US can file for a green card for parents when the child turns 21. And just to give you an example, if the child was born in 2004, the child turns 21 in 2025. But the child born in the US does not give his or her parents immediate legal status, work authorization, or protection from deportation immediately. Even if your child turns 21 and would like to sponsor the parents, this may not be a straightforward application, so you need to work with an experienced immigration lawyer. I hope you have found this information useful. Please like the video and subscribe to our channel. And if I haven't touched on some issues and if you have questions, please write them to me in the comments section. I will try to respond to them as much as I can. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.